the Pod Network Entertainment.
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, a.k.a. Austin Creed.
Welcome to the big time.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
You know your damn role and shut your damn mouth.
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the star.
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles, and you are listening to the Wrestling Podcast.
You're listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. I'm Rowen, that's Emile and Nate, and Rowen ASH who are joining me this morning. It's Saturday morning, August 26th. And yesterday, when we woke up, we found out that Wyndham Rotunda, aka Bray Wyatt, aka Husky Harris, had unfortunately passed. We don't know for sure exactly why he passed. There are only speculation and rumors out there, and we don't have anything definitive. We don't have anything official from the family, from doctors even. So we don't know why. But we're here this morning to give you this quote unquote emergency episode to, address development, the incident. We didn't want to wait until Monday for our picks of the week episode or Thursday for our live stream to do this. So yeah, it's not a happy circumstance at all, but we're here to pay tribute to the man that inspired countless wrestling fans and wrestlers as well. And let's get right to it. Guys, Emile, Rowen, what did you feel when you heard the news yesterday morning?
Yesterday, it was after work, right? So morning, it was around 6 a.m. and I was preparing to sleep. I'm preparing to sleep because I just got off work. And a friend of mine from school, suddenly, he messaged me out of nowhere, and said Bray Wyatt is dead. And I thought he was kind of crazy. Like I thought, baka fake news to. And then I immediately scrolled to Twitter and I saw the tweet that Triple H put out. That basically that was the announcement of the death of Bray Wyatt. And it shocked me. Like it's kind of the same feeling I felt when Brody Lee passed. Like it's eerily kind of the same scenario. Then both of them nawala sila for a while and we didn't really hear anything from them, and then suddenly the announcement just shocked all of us of their death. And kasi again, it was a feeling of shock and feeling of we have lost too many good people already this past year. This past 3 years, we have lost too many good people from all over, not just wrestling, but from everywhere. And sobrang nakakagulat lang kasi Bray Wyatt is only 36. He's in the prime of his wrestling career, and yung last time kasi na he was on the news, it was something positive na he's close to returning and he is recovering from an illness that he had illness that he had this year. That's why he was out. So I remember we talked about that on the podcast. Now he's close to returning, and what do we want to see out of him? So hindi ko talaga na-expect na abot sa ganitong point. So it was a terrible way for me to finish the day. I'm sure for some, this was the news na bumungad sa kanila that day kahapon. So again, the very unfortunate news.
Yeah. Well, I'm quite the opposite of Emile here. So kung siya patulog pa lang, ako kakagising ko lang. My dog didn't wake me up that well. My mom didn't wake me up that well. It was this news that wake me up or that woke me up. I saw Emile's post. He shared yun nga, Bray Wyatt has passed. I it was unexpected, sobrang biglaan. Like he said nga na close to returning na. Like nawala siya for a while, close to coming back, and then suddenly nawala na lang. You know, me and Emile were talking nung SummerSlam viewing party na I was expecting na Bray could come back after SummerSlam, and I was expecting like a feud with Cody. Say, imagine the magic that they can make. They can even bring up Cody being a mentor of Husky Harris. They can bring up so many things from the past, and then in being a generational superstar, and it's just really upsetting na nawala lang si Bray out of nowhere.
Yeah, I also woke up. I slept a long time nung kahapon, the night before, and the first thing I saw was a group chat saying that Bray Wyatt had passed. But it's one of those things that I've been a wrestling fan for upwards of 20 years. These things don't feel unbelievable to me anymore. Like when somebody passes early, like yeah, it happens, and it just sucks. Especially now in the wake of COVID, it really is just one of those things that happens. And unfortunately, one of the rumors actually is that COVID was a big reason why it happened. We don't know this for sure because nobody from the family has said anything yet. But it's one of those things that you do have to accept. People will say it's vaccines. People will say all that conspiracy theory stuff. But the truth is, COVID really is fucking a lot of us up. But it sucks that it does that to our favorite wrestlers as well. Like we're all human, I guess. So yeah, that was my story. It's sad, but I had to. I believed it immediately. So okay, so you guys, what was your first memory of the man we call Bray Wyatt?
My first memory of Bray was, of course, NXT. Again, that was very fortunate at that time. Studio 23 was airing NXT. The when they reformat, and and he was the vignette that we posted yesterday on our Facebook page. That was also the first thing I saw from him, and I thought the character was really unique considering NXT at that time was gearing towards more like the indie like indie wrestling style, and then there's this character who is very reminiscent of the old gimmicks of WWE, where it's kind of the cult man gimmick. and I remember when they debuted on NXT, they were a really destructive force. Like they were booked really strong in their brief run, because they were only there for like months. Because they were so good during that short span that they were in NXT, that months later they were called up. I think SummerSlam of 2013, they were the entire faction was called up. And I remember Bray's debut against Kane at SummerSlam 2013. So I remember they were one of the factions to watch out for the future back then. So their group had so much potential, and Bray was the leader of that. Bray, like Harper and Rowan brought their own thing to the mix, but that was Bray. That was Bray's creation. That was Bray's brainchild, and he really made that group into one of the best and legendary factions that we had over the last decade or so.
So yeah, a while ago I mentioned NXT season 2. So I already saw Husky Harris when NXT season 2 is already over. So my first time seeing him was when he and Michael McGillicuddy interfered in that John Cena versus Wade Barrett match at Hell in a Cell, like where John Cena joined the Nexus. So eventually si Husky Harris sumali na rin siya sa Nexus noon along with Michael McGillicuddy. And then that was the first time I saw him. And then uh sometime few months later he was written off TV because Randy Orton punted him as part of Punk versus Orton feud. And then he just disappeared. The next time I saw him was NXT na, the reformatted version, like around 2012. Yun nga, I was as impressed as Emile here. Never before there was like this type of cult gimmick. It's way beyond better than what The Undertaker has done. Kakaiba talaga siya eh. Plus, also, when I saw him on NXT when he came back pala, I thought, wait a minute, isn't this guy from NXT back then? Parang he's familiar. Tapos it turns out to be Husky Harris nga. And then he got repackaged into this cult leader. And yun nga, like Emile said, they were so good that they were called up around May 2013. And ever since then, parang naging favorite ko na rin siya. Like, he is so cool that I even wanted to have a rocking chair. Like, meron na kaming lamp na, like, flashlight. Parang feel ko na, konti na lang. And then I just need a rocking chair to top it all off.
Yeah, same as you guys. Well, same as Rowan, actually. I was a fan of the original NXT format, game show with the pros and rookies, and season 2. Husky Harris caught my eye and a lot of people's eyes as well because he was a big boy of the entire NXT field, diba? I loved him because he described himself as a Sherman tank with a Ferrari engine, and he really did wrestle like that. He was pretty good, all things considered. A lot of the other guys at NXT were your usual muscle bound FCW prospects, and only a few people were only really okay, decent, or memorable. And Husky Harris was one of those memorable guys, good enough stripper to add him to the Nexus eventually that year. And it was even better when he became Bray Wyatt, because he really was the original version of Bray Wyatt was really that magnetic, was that memorable, was that awesome, because it was really something different. And in a time where WWE loved to script their wrestlers, their characters, a lot of people would complain about that online on their podcast or whatever. Bray Wyatt was such a breath of fresh air because he didn't sound like anyone else at the time. He didn't sound like anyone scripted by Vince McMahon at the time or his writers at the time. And that's what made him stand out. And yun yung really what's important here, which is how he became the star that he ended up being, right? So that was pretty awesome. Yeah. So all right. What are your favorite Bray Wyatt moments?
A lot actually. Like I've been vocal about not liking the recent gimmicks that he had, but when I was listing down moments, I realized I had a lot of favorite Bray Wyatt moments. First of all, their match against the Shield, one of my favorite matches of all time, the one that happened in Elimination Chamber 2014. It was the perfect storm, man. And people were saying that they should have saved that for WrestleMania, because it's like the two factions that are pegged to be the future of the WWE. And it's crazy that at that time both groups were heels. It was a heel versus heel faction matchup, and it still worked because both were really getting popular at the time, and it was an amazing rivalry. It was an amazing match. Ray at that time, that was his rise. That was his rise, and he went on to my next favorite Bray Wyatt moment, which was his feud against Cena. That was the moment where I thought Bray, like the decision, like Bray should have won at least one of those matches. But that feud was so much fun. When they had those kids sing he's got the whole world in his hands, and John Cena sold it really well. I just watched it again yesterday. So he sold it really well. And that promo, that video package of their match no WrestleMania 30. Still one of my favorite video packages ever when they used Eminem's Legacy from his Marshall Mathers LP2 album. So that was
I remember
really
that.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then later on in his career, and lastly, the final one is the Firefly Funhouse match. Kasi at that time it was the pandemic, right? And like, walang audience eh. So they really had to think outside the box of how they can make that WrestleMania at least entertaining. And that was the best part of that mania. It was 13 minutes full of fun. I was marking out with every single references that they made in that match. And it that was the best Fiend there. That was the best time of that Fiend character was up until that Firefly Funhouse match against Cena. So, so for a guy who I didn't really like the gimmicks that he had recently, I had a lot of favorite Bray Wyatt moments in matches.
So, ako naman, like, so parang main roster ko na rin siya mas napanood. Like, I caught him more there since I didn't really watch NXT noon kasi it's more on Studio 23 and the scheduling was weird. Hindi ko siya nakakasabay. So, mas napapanood ko yung Raw, SmackDowns. And that's where the Wyatt family mostly appeared. So, ang dami ring favorite Wyatt family moments or Bray Wyatt moments for this instance. Even if it was like a meaningless Raw, the reason I would only watch Raw was to wait for that Bray Wyatt segment, like whoever his opponent is gonna be or whatever promo he's gonna cut, like whatever comes out from his mouth it's magic. It's something that no one can replicate. Uh, Siguro, my favorite feud would be the White family versus the New Day. So during those times, the New Day was already the longest reigning tag team champions, and I don't want them to lose their titles. So when they started feuding with the Wyatts, parang naging threat, even for me, parang naging threat yung Wyatts na, oh no, they could ruin their longest running reign. Baka di sila umabot sa 432 something, parang ganun. And then they even had this Hardy compound match.
The Ultimate
I think it
Deletion.
was some
Ultimate Deletion, yeah. They had their
Yeah.
own version of the Ultimate Deletion. And then, sobrang naawa
I think,
ako sa New Day nun.
Rowan, I think it was a response to the Ultimate Deletion because I remember it happening almost like weeks after the Ultimate Deletion. That match that you were referring to happened. So
Yeah, exactly. And then parang looking at that match, parang naawa talaga ako sa New Day because like the Wyatts dominated them the entire time. So yun.
Mine naman was I was following NXT in its early years, especially after I got out of law school in 2013. And one of the earliest things that they did with the Wyatt family was put him in a match versus Chris Jericho. So Chris Jericho went down to Full Sail and had a quick feud with Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family, and they had a really good match. One of the better things to come out of that that era of NXT. So that was pretty good, and it was a mark of how positively the Office viewed the Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family character. So that was pretty cool, and I knew that it was something special when they sent Chris Jericho down to do it. Right. That was the other favorite thing I think I have is the Firefly, the original run of the Firefly Funhouse. Okay, because it was different. It was one of those things that really showed you how creative Bray Wyatt was, how creative Wyndham Rotunda was, and if it weren't, I guess, sabotaged by Vince McMahon and whatever plans that he had, I think it would have been one of the best things or one of the better things to have come out from that era.
And there's another era of Bray Wyatt that is worth mentioning. The post SmackDown draft storyline where Randy Orton joined the Wyatt family. That storyline up until WrestleMania, that was really one of the best stories that they had that year, where Bray
Right.
and Orton were feuding, and then eventually, for some reason, Orton joined the Wyatt family to destroy it from within, and that was a long term storyline before nauso yung long term storylines sa WWE, and they really pulled that off really well up until Mania, because we all know what happened after Mania. So again, that was when he was the WWE champion, the lone reign that he had as a WWE champion. So that was, I think, the peak of the singles career of Bray Wyatt. So that's, I just want to mention that because it's really worth mentioning that era of Bray.
Yeah, and even if it was the title reign was short, at least it happened, and I'm happy na achieve niya ang pagiging WWE champion. Watching that Elimination Chamber match, I thought AJ Styles will win that title again, pero nagulat ako that Bray actually won the title. And it was a good way to like make the feud between Orton even more interesting. What I'm upset about that feud is that yung House of Horrors match, it was originally a WWE title match rematch for Bray Wyatt, and then binawi na lang because there's a new number one contender, and Bray was drafted to Raw. I wish they somehow made it a title match kahit papano, even though we know that Bray is not booked to win.
All right. Last things to say about Bray Wyatt before we wrap this up.
He, like yeah, I may not know him personally, but a lot of the wrestlers, a lot of the people within the wrestling industry have said Bray's was a nice man, was a great co-worker, was a great father, and overall an amazing human being, and he will be missed. And he will also be missed by the wrestling fans, and in the industry will surely miss his contributions. And all I kept thinking about as well yesterday were his kids, kasi I know how painful it is to lose a parent, speaking from experience. So I am praying for his family, praying for his kids, and praying for Bray Wyatt's soul, and rest in peace to an amazing guy, and one of the most creative wrestlers that we have in this generation.
There will never be another Bray Wyatt, and he will be terribly missed. I hope yung creativity niya, like, it will be preserved. Pero it's really impossible. No one can do that. Kasi nasa utak niya yun eh. It's gonna be locked in there. And my heart goes out to IRS, Bo Dallas, his first wife, Jojo, and the 4 kids he has. This is really a terrible week for them, and I hope they get through it.
Yeah, people who listen to the show this year know that I wasn't the biggest fan of Bray Wyatt this year, especially the last run. But I think it was a lot better that he indulged his creativity and tried to do things, or to, bring out things from his mind, from his imagination. And even if it didn't work, I would have much rather had that, that he tried, and something that he tried didn't work, instead of him never trying at all. I share the same sentiment as a creative, as a wrestler. Then you got to try things before you find out that they're not good enough, and he will always be the embodiment of that mindset, which is great for all wrestlers, actually. I think more people should be doing that. And he was a good guy. By a lot of stories and anecdotes, he was a great man, not just a great wrestler, but a great man. And it sucks that the good ones are the ones who end up leaving us so soon. Sana yung iba na lang, no? But yeah, you're right. You guys are right. It really sucks for Jojo, for their kids. Their kids are so young, and they lost their father too soon. So it really sucks. And I think we could have had a lot more impact to the wrestling industry, even if this last run didn't quite work the way he wanted it to. I think there was a lot more ideas and creative sparks left in the tank for him. And it sucks that we'll never get to see that, maybe until another generation, So, yun lang naman. So, yeah, with that, please, if you value anyone in your life right now, tell them how much you love them. Give them their flowers, say nice things. Don't be a dick. And yeah, that's it for our emergency episode about Bray Wyatt, about Wyndham Rotunda. May he rest in peace, and we offer all our most heartfelt condolences to his family and loved ones, and the WWE family and the WWE universe. Right? For Emile Nate and for Rowen ASH, this has been Romeran, and this has been a sad episode of the Wrestling Podcast. Wrestling Podcast out. Peace.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.